Hello. So this is, I'm pretty much just doing all of my August and September intros. I'm pretty much doing all of my intros now for a couple of months because I've got to get this up and edited before I leave mid-September. But hi, this is another one of my August videos. Basically, as part of my trip to Europe that I'll be doing later in the year, you won't see any of that footage until I get back, but one of the things I'm doing is Euro Disney. And so I thought it would be fun to do a vlog where I read books that inspired some of my favorite Disney movies. So for that, I have 101 Dalmatians by Dodie Smith. This cover, why is there different styles on it? Like, you've got Cruella in cartoon, but real Dalmatians. It's like, the art style doesn't match on the cover. And then I'm going to be reading The Little Mermaid by Hans Christian Andersen. Yes, this is the picture book version, but this was also the cheap this was also the version that was cheap. And the other two I'm going to do through audiobook, and that is Pinocchio, which was inspired by Pinocchio, and then The Princess and the Frog, which was inspired by The Frog Princess by E.D. Baker. I will put those covers on the screen. But yeah, so this is just going to be a chill vlog reading some Disney books. And I'll catch you when I start reading them. Bye.
Could be part of that world.
Okay, so I have read and finished The Little Mermaid by Hans Christian Andersen. And I got the version that's illustrated by Bernadette Watts. This story, it ends a hell of a lot darker than a Disney movie does. The Disney movie, she gets the prince at a happy ending. In this book, in this tale, she still saves Eric and goes to the Sea Witch, but she doesn't get to go back to being a mermaid. She ends up just she ends up both losing the prince and then turning into sea foam. It's quite well written, actually. I will quickly show you this though, because this has, ignore the fact that you can see my boobs. This has incredible illustrations. I don't know if you can see them properly, but yeah, the illustrations in this are absolutely stunning. Yeah. But yeah, the first book in this is a hell of a lot different to the film, and I will give you some more I will update you when I've read something else. Bye!
Almost there.
Okay, so I have now finished The Princess and the Frog by E.D. Baker. I did this as an audiobook, so I don't have a book to hold up. But yeah, The Frog Princess is essentially the story of this princess who in this book is named Emma, as opposed to the movie where it was Tiana. And then and Princess Emma is basically she's going to be forced into this arranged marriage with the prince named Jorge. She doesn't want to, so she runs away, and then she comes across this frog who she finds out has been cursed, and he's actually a prince called Edric, and he needs a kiss from a princess to turn him back into a human. She kisses him, but instead of the prince turning into a human, she turns into a frog. And then it's just an adventure of them trying to turn back into human. And my God, was this fun. It was the humor in it. The humor, it was very well done. And it is a lot different than the movie The Princess and the Frog. Because in the movie, it's this voodoo doctor who turns Naveen into the frog. And then, because Tiana's not actually a real princess, the spell doesn't work. And so she still turns into a frog, but it wouldn't have worked anyway because, because Tiana wasn't a princess. And, yeah, so in the book, Emma has this... The Mama Odie character is actually Emma's aunt named... what was her name? I can't pronounce it. Let me just find it for a minute. Oh, yeah. Her aunt is named Gracina. And, yeah, so that's basically the Mama Odie character of this book. And, yeah, so she's the one... She's like the... Yeah, she's a witch, and after they go through all these other adventures to try and find the witch who cursed Edric in the first place, and that fails, they essentially Emma and Edric get kidnapped by this fake witch, whose name is Vannaby. Which is funny because she's a wannabe witch. Anyway, yeah, so they're kidnapped and taken to the lair of this fake witch. And here they meet other animals and they have this whole connection. And Emma eventually frees them by reading from the spell book, and then they have to make their way back to her parents' castle to talk to her Aunt Gracina about how to reverse the curse. And yeah, eventually they figure out how, and they have to go and get this magical bracelet back from an otter who has borrowed it, or rather not borrowed it, but taken it after Emma turned into a frog. The bracelet fell off her wrist, and this otter took it. And it turns out that this otter was also cursed to be an otter, and the otter was actually the true love of Emma's aunt. And yeah, so Emma and Edric eventually turn back into their human selves, and then end up in a relationship, and Emma's aunt and this otter find a way that they can be together as well. So it's a happy ending all around. But yeah, the differences between the movie and the book, like it still has the same humor, and it does still have the same like animal sidekick characters, but they're different characters. Instead of crocodile and instead of the crocodile and whatever other creatures they were, it's a bat. It's their biggest sidekick is a bat and a snake. And yeah, so the whole thing's just a big adventure. It's probably like a lot of satire, but I had a really good time with this book, and yeah, I will probably end up continuing the series because I had a good time. And yeah, so that's it for this book, and I'll catch you in the next one.
Cruella de Vil, Cruella de Vil.
Okay, and I'm finished the 101 Dalmatians. This book was actually my least favorite out of the ones I've read so far. The Little Mermaid was well written, and The Princess and the Frog was a good time. This one was just kind of boring. Like, it's still a 3-star because I liked the fact that it was from the animal's perspective the whole time. But yeah, it was quite boring. Yeah, so it's going to sit at a 3-star. First of all, before I go into what the book is about, can we just talk about the horrible art choices on this cover? Like, you've got real-life dogs, and then Cruella in the background is just a completely different style. Okay, yeah. Yeah, so this book is different to the movie in the sense that, hold on, let me just move my microphone down. It might be a bit loud. Okay, there we go. Yeah, this book is different to the fact that Pongo and Perdita aren't the puppies that are married in this. It's Pongo and Mrs. Pongo. And Perdita comes as this foster mother to the puppies because they need another dog who can help feed the puppies or nurse the puppies because Mrs. doesn't have enough milk to do all of it herself. Yes, so Perdita becomes a member of the family in that regard. And yeah, so the story happens the same as the movie. The Dalmatians get kidnapped, but what I don't get is that somehow the Dalmatians figured out it was Cruella de Vil, but Mr. and Mrs. Dealey, who just the day that the puppies were kidnapped, Cruella de Vil came and talked to them about wanting to buy the puppies. And suddenly they disappear and no one suspects. And none of the humans suspected Cruella de Vil until the puppies were back. Yeah. And Cruella de Vil wasn't nearly as fun in this as she was in the movies. In the animated movie, she was just an over-the-top villain, and she was just a fun villain to watch. In this, she was hardly in it, and when she was, she wasn't nearly as over-the-top as I enjoyed in the movie. Also, just show you, I will show you this because, yeah, this is terrifying. The first picture that we see of Cruella de Vil is this face. Like, I'm sorry, but that is terrifying. Yeah, so this book wasn't nearly as good as the other ones I've read in this so far. It sits at a 3-star, but it's my least favorite of the books so far. So I will check in when I have finished the last book for this video. Okay, I'm back because I had one thing I wanted to add. So this book ends with basically Cruella and her husband pretty much run away from London. So they don't end up getting arrested. And Mr. and Mrs. Dealey move out of their apartment and into the mansion where their puppies were held prisoner. Like, seriously, of all the places you could move, London is a giant place, but you had to move into the place where your puppies were held prisoner. Well, I guess it's made a good thing because they stuck it to Cruella by taking her house, but yeah, of all the places you could choose, you choose the place where your puppies were held prisoner. Sorry, I just had to come on and say that, and now I'm done.
No strings to hold me down, to make me fret or make me frown.
Okay, so I have finished my... Hold on, let me move that down. That is very loud. I have a loud voice anyway. Yeah, so I have officially finished my last book for this video. And that is the audiobook of Pinocchio by Carlo... I cannot pronounce it. It's an Italian name, I can't pronounce it. So I'm not going to offend him by trying. But yeah, this book was dark. Oh. Yeah, this book was dark, but I loved it. Like, it was well written, and it was a good look on, like, morals and how easily children are manipulated into doing stuff. And how easy it is to turn your life around and become a good person. But yeah, for anyone who doesn't know the story, it is about this carpenter named Geppetto who crafts a boy out of wood, and then the puppet comes to life, and Geppetto names him Pinocchio. And Pinocchio has all of these adventures that get him into serious trouble. Like he's hanged by a tree by a cat and fox who try to rob him. He's turned into a donkey after he runs away to an island, after he's convinced to run away to an island of toys. And yeah, so he gets turned into a donkey, then he gets sold to this, then he ends up in the circus. He gets sold to someone who wants to turn his donkey skin into a drum, and then he ends up getting swallowed by a shark. But he does reunite with Geppetto in the shark, so that's something. But yeah, it took such a dark path, but I really enjoyed it. I think this is the book that was most accurate to the movie. Like, it didn't take as much out of the movie as the other ones did. But yeah, so overall, I would say that my favorite of the four was probably Pinocchio. And then The Princess and the Frog has to go second because The Princess and the Frog was just a good time. Then I've got The Little Mermaid. That's a fairy tale, so it's not as long. And then sadly at the bottom, I've got 101 Dalmatians. But anyway, this has been a good experience to see where these stories started. And you'll see me in another video at some point. Bye!